Okay, so the next time you log into Notifier, one thing you're going to notice here at the top of your screen is this new small feature we've added that we call the latest news widget. Now, this thing is very, very simple. It's exactly what it looks like, which is it shows you some of the latest news and articles that we've written that tell you various things about what we're working on at Notifier, some of the latest details around features we've launched, and things like that. Now, interestingly, this data, the way we built this is it's pulling the data directly from our WordPress blog. So certain articles that we define here with a certain tag or a category actually will ultimately be fed into Notifier and show up here with a preview, an excerpt of the text, and then of course you can click read more or exit out. Now, if you're technical, you may be interested in knowing why we decided to go this way. We thought of simply in our admin dashboard adding some type of UI where we could define these things, but then we'd be doing double the work. And ultimately, we'd wanted this to take you to the blog anyway. Also, we didn't want to re-implement a lot of the functionality of a content management system, which with one of our prior projects, Paw Portal, we actually ended up re-implementing a lot of the features and functionality of kind of a WordPress blog. And that made sense for that product in a lot of ways. For a lot of products where you're publishing, some content, that it may be justified to recreate a lot of that functionality. But in this case, for our latest news widget, we did not want to do that. So that's why we went this way of pulling the articles ultimately from our WordPress blog. Now, this is interesting because we're also going to be adding the functionality to pull them from a Notion page, as we're very, very big on Notion. But also in the future, we have considered adding additional functionality to Notifier that would be more around, we'd still be doing social listening and all that, of course, but also adding additional functionality to make it easier for you to release latest news and latest content to all of your channels that you have with your customers. And what I mean by that is we could provide a what's new or a latest news widget into your web application that you just simply add a piece of code and this shows up here. And then Notifier would actually watch your blog or maybe a Notion workspace, or maybe even you would define it in our UI, but it would sit there and watch, and whenever new content pops up that you define or tag in a certain way, Notifier would then display that data in your web application or your app in the latest news widget. But also it could also post to Twitter, it could send out an email, it could pop up in the web application if we supported in-app notifications based on this widget. But there's a lot of cool things we could do around notifying your users about new content. And so in the future, it's possible if there's enough interest, we may additionally take Notifier in that direction, because a lot of this stuff we have already built while we were building Notifier itself. But that is it here. This is the latest news widget. Let us know if you see any issues with it or have any questions about Notifier eventually adding additional functionality around that. We would certainly love to talk to you about those kinds of use cases. And as usual, if you have any problems using Notifier, feel free to reach out through our chat box or email, or even simply connect with me on Twitter.